Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We are in the Occult Adventures from Pathfinder. We are continuing my War Magic series, and this should be the last video in the Occult Adventures book. We are looking at 6th level spells, which is where I was going to stop. So after we look at these spells, we'll look at them, we'll see what would be very beneficial to try to convert in some fashion to help get a military victory in a battlefield situation, not in a normal D&D party exploring situation. So a lot of the spells are really good spells for regular D&D playing, regular adventuring where there's small combats and everything else. But not all the spells are great when trying to convert it to giving you a military victory in a old medieval shield wall or siege or naval warfare situation. So let's see, I was looking at okay, so the Mesmerist spell list, it ends at 6th level. There are 2 spells, so we'll look at those real quick and see how useful they'd be. Create Mindscape. You create a Mindscape that affecting more creatures, having a longer duration, and allowing magic alteration. Dream Travel. You venture into the dimensions of dreams. You enter the dreams of a designated creature, then exit near that creature's body on the plane where it lies sleeping. I can see that being very useful. Imagine if you can get a bunch of your military, say your strike force, the commandos of your military. You can get them, which would also be the PCs normally, you could get them to travel to someone that's asleep and dreaming in the enemy's encampment, and all of a sudden your forces now appeared out of nowhere. That said, doing it that way is sort of a little bit of a suicide run, so they'd have to have an idea of where they're going to end up, or at least how to get out, if there's a chance for them to survive. So Dream Travel, if you could give them a way to do that, so you need a one-use item that each of them could use, and they'd have to go when you know that the enemy would be asleep. And you'd have to know the enemy. So if you knew the commander by name or a lieutenant by name. So 6th level psychic spells. Awaken Construct. Grant a construct human-like sentience. Okay. If you were using constructs on the battlefield to begin with, they'd be pretty devastating. If you awaken them and allow them to make their own decisions, that would allow them to operate without you having to be there. I see where that could become very useful, as well as it creates a new race to play, like from Eberron, where you could play a construct, a living construct. Create Mindscape. Dream Council. Communicate with multiple sleeping creatures. That could be very useful. Especially if you're doing it to a group of people that are in different locations, observing and gathering information differently. You have to be next to your target. So if you can make that work over a vast distance, then you would have a big advantage with that. Say everybody's wearing rings that allow them to meet in the dream world in the same location in the dream world because the rings are all linked together. Then they can leave messages, they can talk to each other, so on and so forth. Dream travel, already covered it. Ego whip of 4. As Eagle Whip 1, but has a -8 penalty and staggers for 1d8 rounds. And I do believe if we were talking about that one, that if you could put that on ammunition as a one-use thing, upon firing that ammunition when it hits something, it triggers this. Whether its effects actually affect something or not would be debatable if this thing missed entirely. Because if it hits the ground, it can't do anything. But if it hits a living target, well, there you go. Foster hatred. Cause creature to hate one type of creature. That'd be good to put on an item that you could hit an enemy with, and the creature that you want them to affect is their own race. Incorporeal chains. Grapple incorporeal creatures and deals damage equal to 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier. It'd be useful against incorporeal creatures, but not that useful. Mass inflict pain. So what does inflict pain do? It's been a second since I read that one. There it is. -4 on attack rolls, skill checks, and ability checks. You can get that to activate in an area because it's a mass spell. That would be very useful because now the enemy has sections that aren't fighting as well as everyone else. So put that on sling bullets. Have your 3rd, 4th, 5th row back in the shield wall be armed with slings and sling bullets. And some of these have magical effects, and this would be one of them. And they could just drop that into the center of the enemy. And in addition to that, they can specifically target one of the guys in the center of the enemy. Intellect Fortress 3. Mental Barrier 5. Mind Thrust 6. Mind Thrust would be great as a one-use thing on your weapons. Being 6th level, these spells would be a little bit pricey, but it's doable. Excuse me. Don't know what it is, but the allergies have been kicking my butt last couple of days. But you could put that on a ammunition. You don't even need this version of it. If you use the earlier versions that just do a couple of dice, that would help you because most of your soldiers are level 1 through 5. They're not going to be high level like your players. So you only, at most, need to be able to do 5d8 worth of damage total would be the average for your soldiers. And if that doesn't kill them, that would severely injure them, and that would probably be the veterans that have lots of hit points. Greater object possession. Primal regression. Make a creature become bestial and unintelligent. That could be great to intimidate your own side or your enemy's side. Take a captured soldier and do that in front of the enemy. Psychic Crush 2, a Psychic Crush 1, but deals 5d6 plus 1 points of damage per level on a save and harder to resist. So that could be useful on one-use items if you could hit a bunch of people with that. Psychic Surgery, cure all intelligence, wisdom, charisma damage and drain, plus removes other mental afflictions and conditions. That is useful in many ways as a player, I would know, but as a military, it could be useful for after a battle, but not during or whatnot. Repress memory, remove a piece of knowledge from your mind. That can be very useful if you're trying to keep the undercover people really undercover. If you could put a false memory in there too, but hidden in them is a trigger to report to you. Every time they report to you, you just remove the fact that you all met. Thought Shield 5. It has Thought Shield 4, but lasts 1 round per level. Tower of Iron Will 2. Tower of Iron Will 1, but lasts 2 rounds. Withdraw Affliction. Removes an affliction and afflicts it on another creature. That can be a lot of chaos there. Take a bunch of people that are suffering from disease, and you can then go bring them with your military. You can then go, I remove this infliction, and then I'll give it to these soldiers that were fighting. Hell, you could even do that to 1 or 2 of them that are on guard, and they would just spread. If it's a spreading affliction, it would spread throughout their military. But then you'd have to also balance the fact that it could spread in your own forces. That's the end of the psionic spells. There wasn't a lot of great ones, but I did notice that the psionics have a lot of weirder one-on-one tone to them, which is cool. It's just not built for me to really extrapolate a lot of uses for in a military setup. That said, I have done the core rulebook, the advanced player's guide, the ultimate magic, ultimate combat. I've done all the spells in all those, so check out the other playlists if this was interesting to you, and you'll get a lot more details out of a lot more useful spells that you have access to. Until we all game again, guys.